from Carlos A. Lopez. That's at Los Talks Pats. Does the depth at the defensive tackle position in the draft potentially push Mason Graham slightly down the board? Thanks. Carlos, I I don't think that. I think in a normal year, that would be in play and certainly be possible. I think because of the dynamics of this year's class, there's probably less of a chance of that happening. Here's the way I look at Mason Graham. I think he is not on the level, the blue chip level that Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter are. I think those two guys are kind of on in their own category in this year's class. Quarterbacks are separate from everybody else. I think once you get the top two guys to go, wherever the quarterbacks are mixed in there, will determine whether or not now you're at the third pick, the fourth pick, the fifth pick. I think at that point, you're looking at a draft that's very flat. And so, yeah, some teams could say, like, well, look at Mason Graham, but we don't see him as being like just hugely different than, say, like Walter Nolan or his teammate Kenneth Grant or any number of guys that'll be available in the second round. So maybe we should wait in the position and say, take Will Campbell or take or take Jalen Walker in the top 5 or top 10. I think the problem with that is there's depth in some of those other positions too, and there may not be a huge difference between the other guys I mentioned and the next guys at those spots. So in a normal year, I could see that logic based coming into play. With Mason Graham, I don't know that it's necessarily going to hurt him too much this year. Could it knock him down a spot or two? Maybe. I also think he's one of the safer picks in this year's draft. I think his translation to the NFL is pretty easy. He lacks some of the measurables you might want in a defensive tackle. He's got shorter arms. He's not as tall as some of the top guys. But I think all in all, when teams look at Mason Graham, they're going to know exactly what they're getting. And there's great value in that in a draft like this one where, again, you may lack the top end blue chip guys.